Hey everyone, welcome to IGN Summer of Gaming. 4 full weeks of more games than you can shake a stick at. But right now, it's time for news, games, and more. And we've got plenty to talk about today, but first, wanted to give a shout out to our charity efforts. All Summer of Gaming long, IGN is asking you to donate to the Bail Project and the World Health Organization by clicking on the links in the description on your video player or by heading over to donations.ign.com. The Bail Project is a nonprofit that pays bills for people in need, reuniting families and restoring the presumption of innocence in support of Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. The COVID-19 Response Fund is dedicated to studying, tracking, and combating the coronavirus pandemic. And by donating, you'll have a chance to win IGN gift cards, codes for games, and swag from companies like id and Bethesda. Anyone who gives more than $50 will also have a shot at winning a Summer of Gaming custom Xbox One X. We've already generated over $32,000 in donations for these great charities, so let's keep it up. Thank you so much to everyone who's donated so far. Don't forget, you can also download the TikTok app, follow IGN, and search IGN Summer of Gaming hashtag for even more bonus gameplay, news, exclusives, and originals. Or leave us a Yap video comment in the comments section of any article on IGN.com, and your Yap could wind up on the stream. All right, let's get started. I'm your host, Zachary Ryan. Joining me now are known Pokemon superfans Sydney Goodman and Casey DeFreitas, and known Old Bay enthusiast Seth Macy. Hi, everybody.
Thank you. Nice
to
be here.
Zach, did you know that your TV has you on it?
Yeah, I did that. It's a joke. It's a meta. It's an in-joke. So
Zachception.
Over there. I know. I'm here and I'm there. It's crazy, right? Technology is a wild thing, you guys. Huge news today, especially for Sydney and Casey. I guess maybe for Seth. I don't really care if he knows about Pokemon, but he's here on the show anyway, so that's nice. After 20 long years of fans waiting and wondering and hoping and praying, Pokémon Snap has returned, everybody. The acclaimed Pokemon game where you take pictures of your furry friends, coming back to Nintendo Switch. No date yet, but man, I'll tell you one thing. I woke up this morning and saw this news, and I immediately thought of Sydney and Casey, who are two of the biggest Pokemon fans I know. And Sid specifically has been asking for Pokemon Snap to return since I've known you, maybe, Sid? How was it this morning when you saw this news?
Okay, so this is like a little bit of a journey. I meant to watch Pokemon Direct when it was happening. Like I meant to watch it live. But last night, I got woken up in the middle of the night. Then I had this horrible dream about this man who killed me. It was so scary. Anyway, so I slept horribly, is what I'm saying. And so I slept through my alarm. Right. And then I woke up and I was like going through my email, and then like I checked Instagram, and somebody commented and was like, "Oh my gosh, Pokemon Snap is a thing." And I thought it was just somebody being mean, because every time before a Pokemon Direct, I always predict that Pokemon Snap is going to be announced. And I like at this point kind of just assumed it was never going to happen. And then I went and checked, and it was actually real. So I am, wow, I'm floored. And I feel like I need to knock on wood or something, but I feel like this is a really hard game to mess up. So like,
okay.
Like my expectations are just like, there needs to be like pictures. There needs to be Pokemon. We already said there's apples, and like, it would be nice if Professor Oak was there, but like, even if he's not, I'd still be fine. So I'm kind of already in a good position.
What an insane introduction for the show that was. Thank you, Sydney. That was absolutely crazy. I really appreciate that you laid all that on us and that you feel comfortable sharing about your crazy murder dreams and your love of Pokemon. Casey, what about you this morning when you woke up and saw this news? Did you also have disturbing dreams that troubled you through the night and kept you from watching the Pokemon premiere?
You know, Sydney, I also commonly have crazy murder dreams and also share a love of Pokemon, so I am with you on that. But
two little peas in a Pokemon pod.
The original Pokemon Snap is the reason why I asked my parents for Nintendo 64, and the way I sold it to them is like, look, Pokemon in 3D graphics, I need it. And that's the reason why I got a 64, and that's the reason why I played Ocarina of Time, and that's the reason I'm here today, because Pokemon Snap. And like Sydney, I have been asking for this forever. A new Pokemon Snap, a Pokemon Snap remade with pretty graphics. I thought the Wii U would have been the perfect console for this, but that never happened. So we're getting it on the Switch, and it looks beautiful. And like Sid, even though there is a trailer that exists, I'm seeing people still question whether it's real because it seems just so intangible that this is in existence. But I am incredibly excited for this. It looks beautiful. It's being made by Bandai Namco, and it looks great. And also, like Sid said, it's should be difficult to mess this up. I mean, you are on rails, and I think the whole point of Pokemon Snap is making you feel like you are watching Pokemon live in their natural habitats and then terribly disrupting them so you can get good pictures of them like any nature photographer would. So they need to have, I know they're going to have this thing called a photo dex where you are filling basically a photo type Pokedex with your own pictures instead of pre-made pictures, but there needs to be a scoring system. If they do not have a scoring system similar or better to what was in the original Pokemon Snap, I will be disappointed. But otherwise, I think this looks great. You see the apple. I assume they'll bring back Pester Balls and the Poke Flute. I'm excited. I'm so excited for this.
As a known animal rights activist, I'm just like really concerned about the pester balls. Why do we need to pester these mons? You know, I think it seems rude. They're out there just doing their thing, and we're just throwing. It's literally called a pester ball. Like, what else could be the purpose of that? It seems really uncalled for in this safe environment for these mons. Seth, this morning you're on the East Coast, so you were up at least 15 hours before any of us. Tell me,
that's true.
What? You probably saw the Pokemon event live. You probably saw this happen. Are you yourself a Pokemon Snap fan? Did you have a similar reaction to Sid and Casey? Were you equally excited?
Well, unlike Sid and Casey, when the original Pokemon Snap came out, I was 47 years old.
Yeah, you're so like a full-grown man.
No.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
I was. Actually, it was. Pokemon was not something that I was.
7.
I was not into it. I'm excited for when I first saw that Pokemon Snap was coming to Switch, I thought, all my true 90s kids friends are going to be so stoked today. And I'm really happy to see that everyone's super stoked. I mean, it looks adorable. You can't go wrong with Pokemon. Name something that Pokemon is wrong about.
Wait, you guys.
What's happening with Sid?
Look.
Oh, you have you have it right there.
I got one. Well, so I have the Japanese version that I got when I went to Tokyo. I obviously can't play it because I don't have an N64 that can play these, but I do have a regular N64 and it can play this. And I still have the box, even though, well, maybe no, the cartridge is in here. I guess I put the cartridge back. Good for me. But look, proof.
That was really
I
excellent.
really like this game.
So I also have some retro Pokemon Snap things to show, if you wouldn't mind as well. So
this is actually really great timing. This is actually really great timing on both of your parts, because when I was coming into the show today, I was thinking like I should really ask Casey and Sydney to prove that they actually love this game with tangible evidence. So this is really working out for me. Thank you. Go ahead, Casey.
So if you remember back in the day when Pokemon Snap was out, Blockbusters also existed, which was a physical video rental store, and they also had special Nintendo 64 Pokemon Snap kiosks where you can go bring in your cartridge and then print out your pictures as stickers. And I have some of those on this really old Pokemon card thing. So that is a Charmander sticker. I know it's like super faded and hard to see, but just trust me that those are a bunch of Charmander. And then I also have some in here. Here's a Charizard sticker on there. And these over here, I know it's so hard to see. This is difficult. These are Lapras from Pokemon Stadium, but they actually transferred onto this plastic because this is a 20-year-old binder. So, and there's a flying Pikachu on the bottom there. Let me see if I can center that. There you go. So
flying Pikachu, actually a very rare evolution. Yeah, actually a very rare evolution for the two. So Nintendo statement this morning, if I could just read it out here, it says, the new Pokemon Snap game for Nintendo Switch system is based on its namesake, which was first released for the Nintendo 64 console in 1999. This game will take trainers on an adventure to unknown islands overflowing with natural sights such as jungles, beaches, where they can research various Pokemon in their natural habitats. They will take photos and make their very own in-game Pokemon photo decks, all while discovering new, never seen before Pokemon expressions and behaviors. And then their website further went on to clarify that the game will include deserts, jungles, other biomes. The trailer confirms that there are Pokemon from multiple generations appearing in this game, which is very exciting because obviously the original Pokemon Snap is old enough that I don't even think the Johto Mons were making an appearance in that first game, if memory serves me correctly. It's just that original 151, and I don't think even all 151 were in there, right?
They were not.
I want to say it was like 60 or something. Anyway, IGN gave the original 7.8, which is a dangerous score to give a Pokemon game, if those of you out there are paying attention. Praising its clever design, intuitive controls, and lots of traditional secrets, and of course, more than 60 Pokemon to snap pictures of. So I was close. When in doubt, read the show notes. Am I right? So I guess my question to you is, I want to start with Casey. What do you really most want to see from a new Pokemon Snap?
I want to see, so the original Pokemon Snap was almost a puzzle game in which you needed to figure out things that you needed to do in each level to trigger specific actions from different Pokemon. And I want to see more of that to trigger really unique Pokemon interactions. Like, for example, like we saw in the trailer, a Pidgeot pick up a Magikarp and fly away. I want to see more crazy stuff like that makes you go, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened. But like I said before, I also definitely want a scoring system that is at least on par with the originals or preferably better. I want it to still be challenging, and I want to be challenged to get perfect scores for every single Pokemon in this game.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I think that adding a little bit of extra challenge to that game would go pretty far. I think it's all safe to say that we're very excited for this Pokemon game. But right now, we got to take a break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk a little bit about some Ratchet and Clank news we got yesterday. So stick around. We'll be right back after this.
News, Games, and More is presented by New World.
The next generation of video gaming is on the horizon, and IGN is here to bring you the latest PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X news and analysis in our new weekly show, Next Gen Console Watch 2020. We'll bring on the experts to discuss and analyze all the latest developments around these new consoles. From frame rates, services, features, peripherals, and even all the new tech jargon, Next Gen Console Watch 2020 will keep you up to speed on everything leading up to the next generation of gaming. Join us every Friday for a new episode.
Not only is IGN the world's biggest media brand for games and entertainment, but we also have a team of some of the world's biggest fans of your favorite franchises. From breaking news and exclusives, never-before-seen looks at movies and games, to reviews, let's plays, and live streams, IGN brings you all the coverage you need, no matter where you are. IGN, the #1 source for all games and entertainment fans worldwide.
Everybody loves watching a speedrun of their favorite game. But what if you got the opportunity to peek into the minds of the developers while they watch their games getting completely wrecked? That's exactly what happens in every episode of Game Devs React to speedruns.
Yeah, you can do that. Oh my God!
We invite you to ride along with the developers as they react to, question, and enjoy some of the most skilled players exploiting and speeding through a game it took years of their life to create. Join us every Saturday for a new episode.
Hey there! Do you have opinions on games, movies, TV, or other weird stuff on the internet? You can take part in our new show, Power Ranking, where you can vote on all your favorite things on the internet. Do it now! Do it! Just go! Vote! Go vote!
News, Games, and More is IGN's live news show every day of the week that covers all the day's news about games, movies, comics, and of course more. This is our daily live show that takes a rotating cast of IGN talent, going over all the latest news of the day while taking live questions and comments from chat. We're live every Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. See you there.
Welcome back to News, Games, and More right here during IGN's Summer of Gaming. You'll be pleased to know that we're bringing you all of the news and games, and we've actually increased more by 70% this quarter. It's a big deal. We're going to talk about this mysterious lady Lombax, but I did want to address something really quickly. That last segment was cut a little bit short. Casey got her predictions in. I decided not to allow Sid and Seth to make their predictions about Pokemon because Sid's story was horrifying, and Seth is too old for Pokemon. So we're going to move right along.
That's true.
We're going to talk about Ratchet and Clank.
Last week at the PS... Smile, though?
There's a ton of Pokemon news. We can get to that another time. We've got a whole other show to do, okay? Last week at the PS5 event, we got an awesome new Ratchet and Clank trailer, Ratchet and Clank, featuring a glimpse of what looks to be a new female Lombax. So first of all, I wanted to ask you guys, look, let's pull back the curtain. I found out after I put this show together that none of y'all have played Ratchet and Clank. That's fine. We're still going to talk about this a little bit because I love Ratchet and Clank, and I'm running the show today. We got a new Ratchet and Clank trailer, and I wanted to ask you guys, as Ratchet and Clank newbies, did what you see excite you, Were you very interested in it? Is it something that you're like not particularly keen on? Is this perhaps a Ratchet and Clank that might get you to go back and investigate some of the previous Ratchet and Clank entries? Starting with Casey, what do you think?
All right. I think it looks beautiful and it looks fun. I'm usually not super into platformers, but this doesn't look strictly platforming at all, and I knew that. So, I mean, if I had the opportunity to play it, like if it's in the office or available as a copy to borrow, I think I would definitely check it out. I think it's worth it. I think the story looks interesting, and though I haven't played it, I did go and read up on a bit of the lore on the Lombax. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but the species that Ratchet is, and found out some interesting facts about his species and some hypothetical theories on the new character. If you want to hear it,
save that. I don't.
Stuff.
I want you to save that for another Lombax-centric feature, because I think what we really got to talk about here is the appearance of this female Lombax. So if you watch the trailer, you see that this new character appears as Clank is flung off into one of the game's rifts, right? Like the whole game is built around jumping between these dimensional rifts. And in the trailer, you see Clank react with a questioning. He's talking to this Lombax. He says, "Where's Ratchet?" And she says, "Who?" So it kind of sets up this whole like multiverse thing, which I think is very cool. So this character has become like pretty beloved by the internet in the time since this PlayStation 5 event. People have dubbed her Ratchet, which I think is very nice. The company behind Ratchet and Clank, Insomniac Games, confirmed via Twitter that you'll play as Ratchet and Clank and this new mysterious female Lombax. So you guys don't know this because you're newbies, but controlling a character outside of Ratchet and Clank in this series, not something out of the ordinary. There's been a lot of like cameo appearances and one-off characters that appear that you take control of for certain levels, right? But this is the first game in this series where you might have like a similar level of protagonist here, right? Like it seems like maybe in this game you'll be controlling this character quite a bit. So with that in mind, I have to ask you, Seth, I'm going to start with you. What's up? Why have you never played Ratchet and Clank? What's your problem?
I have no good excuse to not have played these games because they look totally like my jam. I think that the first ones they came out on PS2, right? That was like the original. Is that correct? Okay.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, and I think at the time I didn't want to play like a cutesy platforming game. I wanted to play Final Fantasy and lose myself in a world of JRPG magic and, sit in my room alone and not be bothered with whimsy or fun or things of that nature. So
Japanese RPGs, the only genre that is completely devoid of whimsy or fantasy. Good rationale there, Seth.
I don't know. Well, because I like those games because of the mechanics of them.
Okay. All right. Well, this is
I really like
systems.
systems.
Right, this is promising some new mechanics for this series that we haven't seen specifically.
Hit me! I just said I love mechanics.
Right. What an interesting statement to make about. What an interesting statement to make about video games. I sure do love mechanics.
I can say what I want.
A lot of other games. Yeah, the Ratchet mechanic is actually the most important mechanic in all of these games. So a lot of other games allow you to swap between protagonists, and I think it actually adds like a pretty interesting layer to borrow Seth's phrase, mechanics, right? Like it's just another layer on top of an already awesome thing. Thank you, Seth. Do you guys have any favorite games that employ this mechanic? Are there any games that jump out to you specifically that you see these character swapping mechanics and think like, oh, that's a really cool addition to this game? Anybody have any thoughts on character swapping?
I know that I was interested in Spyro, The Legend of Spyro: A New Beginning, because that's not the right game that I'm thinking of. There's a different Spyro game that came out on the Wii that featured another female dragon called Cinder, and I was always drawn, especially when I was younger, to games that let you play as another protagonist who was female, and I think it's really cool that Ratchet and Clank seems to be doing that as well, and I hope that she is as prominent as a protagonist as I think she is or will be.
Yeah.
Even though I know nothing about her or the Ratchet and Clank games.
Okay. Interesting observation. Yeah, I think we'd be remiss. Go ahead.
So when you say switch protagonists, you're talking about like, so let's say you're on a level and then I just decide I'm going to switch. Like, is that like a player operated mechanic, or is it
Correct.
just like per level you may? Okay,
no, like a player operated mechanic. Yeah.
Well, then like tag team Tekken.
Tekken tag team. Yeah. Tag tournament.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I don't know. That's obviously very different. I don't think that necessarily adds to the story, but it's really helpful if one of your characters is dying or you're really good at combos.
I also think that we'd be remiss to not mention GTA 5 that has 3 swappable characters that you can basically switch to on the fly. Great game. And also I wanted to point out the Batman Arkham series, which allows you to switch between characters and a lot of different combat elements, which I think is great too. Character swapping could be very cool for Ratchet and Clank, but we have to take another quick commercial break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about there's a new business that has arrived on Animal Crossing Island, and you might be surprised to learn what it is. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.
News, Games, and More is presented by New World.
The next generation of video gaming is on the horizon, and IGN is here to bring you the latest PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X news and analysis in our new weekly show, Next Gen Console Watch 2020. We'll bring on the experts to discuss and analyze all the latest developments around these new consoles. From frame rates, services, features, peripherals, and even all the new tech jargon, Next Gen Console Watch 2020 will keep you up to speed on everything leading up to the next generation of gaming. Join us every Friday for a new episode.
Not only is IGN the world's biggest media brand for games and entertainment, but we also have a team of some of the world's biggest fans of your favorite franchises. From breaking news and exclusives, never-before-seen looks at movies and games, to reviews, let's plays, and live streams, IGN brings you all the coverage you need, no matter where you are. Whether you're on IGN.com, the IGN app, YouTube, Facebook, or Snapchat, we've always got you covered. IGN, the #1 source for all games and entertainment fans worldwide.
News, Games, and More is IGN's live news show every day of the week that covers all the day's news about games, movies, comics, and of course more. This is our daily live show that takes a rotating cast of IGN talent, going over all the latest news of the day while taking live questions and comments from chat. We're live every Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, and you can find us on mixer.com/IGN, youtube.com/IGN, and twitch.tv/IGN. See you there.
If you're not following IGN on social media, what are you waiting for? We're constantly updating our feeds to bring you the latest news, gameplay, custom original content, the best user-generated videos and art, memes, and a whole lot more. Be part of the conversation throughout the year. Follow IGN on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and Snapchat.
Welcome back to News, Games, and More, part of IGN's Summer of Gaming. If you're just joining us, consider giving to one of our 2 charities, the Bail Project or the World Health Organization's COVID-19 Response Fund. You can do so by heading to donate.ign.com or clicking on the links in the video description. Guys, here comes a news story. You know, every so often one comes along that I am just like so over the moon for. And this is definitely today's weirdest and most fun news story, I think. So I'm really excited to dive right into this. Kentucky Fried Chicken is coming to Animal Crossing. It's here in some places. You can go to Kentucky Fried Chicken. You can see their recreation of their delicious restaurants right there on your own Animal Crossing island, or not on your Animal Crossing island. You got to go to somebody else's island. So let's explain. KFC has opened up a new restaurant in Animal Crossing. The fast food chain revealed the news in a post on the KFC Philippines Facebook account, where you can see this like fully kitted out diner and the company's extremely convincing digital Colonel Sanders cosplay. What do you guys think? Have you seen this funny KFC cross promotion? Sydney, let's start with you.
I'm just so excited. I think it's really cool. Wait, can you hear me?
You do. I couldn't hear you for a minute, but I can hear you now.
Oh, weird.
So why don't you give us those impressions again?
I'm really excited. I think it looks super, super cool, and I think it's fun to see brands like authentically integrate into something like this, because it looks like a really well done island. It's not like they just slapped a texture on it or something. But the only thing that I like can't wrap my mind around is there's been times when, you know, at IGN we have a Slack room where when people have high turnip prices, then you can go to the island and sell. And it is kind of disastrous trying like when there's only 10 people that want to get in and sell their turnips. And so just, I don't really understand how people are actually going to visit this island without just completely breaking everything.
Yeah, so I believe that there's a lottery to even get in the queue to get on the island. So, you know, there's multiple levels if you really want to come visit this crazy chicken island. You know, a lot of checks and balances happening to even show up. But I agree with you. It is kind of a nightmare to get onto somebody's island when any sort of event or, you know, turnip prices are high or something like that. So, yeah, I did wonder that myself. I'm pretty impressed with the level of just original design that's happening here. Casey, I don't know if you're still playing Animal Crossing, but just looking at the amount of design work that's gone into this stuff is like really impressive. And I wonder, do you feel like you would design a fast food restaurant to put on your island?
Their design is crazy and super impressive. I mean, they recreated their menus. It looks great. And I'm for it. I'm for brands doing ridiculous stuff. I mean, I know Kentucky Fried Chicken also did a dating sim on Steam. So you do you, KFC. I never thought I would say, hey, can you add the Kentucky Fried Chicken Animal Crossing story to the run of show today? But that is a sentence I said today, and I appreciate that from KFC. Would I make a fast food restaurant on my own island? No, because I am lazy, and KFC would put me to shame. So why bother?
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. So some additional information here. This is probably my favorite part of this story. KFC Philippines will be opening KFC-themed islands to the public, but you see this cute little Colonel Sanders man running around the island. If you manage to track him down on the island, you'll receive a code to redeem a free 8-piece bucket of chicken. Now, how that works, I'm like completely baffled. I have no idea. But Seth, if there were to be an island extravaganza like this for a fast food restaurant, which island would you choose to receive free food from? You're from Maine. Is there some kind of like crab restaurant that I don't know about that you're very excited about, or what's your fast food of choice for an Animal Crossing crossover?
Well, I would want Animal Crossing cross Taco Bell, obviously.
Okay.
Need that Baja Blast in my island, baby. Come on now.
Right. Yeah, I'm firmly in the Taco Bell camp as well. I would love to do like design a Taco Bell centric portion of my island, but model it after like the old Taco Bells with the big like bricks. And stuff. Yeah, I really like.
You know, there is one about an hour and a half drive from San Francisco that never updated, and it's kind of famous. So if you guys want to go to visit the '90s, there's a 1990s themed Taco Bell in northern or whatever the Bay Area.
Well, okay, so I think it's pretty presumptuous of you to assume that I have a car, but thank you. I appreciate that.
Taco Bell Beach?
Yeah, that one's very good as well. Video games I don't feel like are any like real stranger to these kind of wacky crossovers. And I wanted to ask you guys, are there any other crossovers that you can remember in sort of recent memory that are kind of akin to this or worked in the same way that this wacky Kentucky Fried Chicken thing is shaken down?
So I think
Pepsi Man.
The one
Pepsi Man's fair. Yeah, Sid, what were you gonna say?
Wait, what was that one?
It's a Japanese only superhero who his power was to drink Pepsi, and that gave him the energy he needed to wage battle against evil.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, that's amazing.
Yeah, he was like a robot. He was like a crazy looking robot, wasn't he? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's really cool.
Yeah. Sid, what were you going to say?
Well, what I was going to say is so corporate is that when I was really into Destiny and Red Bull had like, you would buy the cans and then there'd be a code and then it would unlock a new level or whatever, which is kind of the opposite and not very kooky. But at the time I was very excited about it. And ultimately that got me my first job at Red Bull. So I was extra excited about it. But so that worked out really well for me. I'd like to think that if I attempted the KFC thing and I lived in the Philippines, I would probably get a code for an 8-piece bucket.
Right. 8 pieces is a nice amount too. 10-piece, way too many. Way too many pieces for one person. Yeah. Casey, what about you? What's your favorite weird video game crossover?
The first thing that ever comes to mind, it's not exactly a crossover, but it is a video game promotion, was Burger King's Sneak King video game series, if you want to say that. I remember we had many...
The Sneak King video game universe, if you will.
Yes, the Sneak King universe. I remember we had so many copies of those games at GameStop when I used to work there, and they were all sold for like $2, so I just picked up a bunch of them one day and like played all the Sneak Kings. They were like surprisingly entertaining. But more recently, I think the Final Fantasy Cup Noodles
that's a good one.
crossover was kind of unexpected and interesting, because you got the cup noodles in the game that you could eat, but then also you had Final Fantasy characters on cup noodles in real life. Thumbs up.
That was also like a really insane crossover in game. I just recently played Final Fantasy 15 for the first time, which is the game that you're talking about. And there's like there's a whole side quest dedicated to cup noodles, but there's like a really insane moment where like you come out of the city that you've been spending the last like few hours in or whatever, and one of your compatriots, one of the guys that you're on the road trip with, is like, "Oh, I love the rich flavor of cup noodles," just like completely off the cuff. It's unbelievably weird. I loved it so much. Seth, you're an old guy like me. I wonder if you remember Cool Spot from the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis as a pretty successful and actually like pretty competent platformer. Yeah.
It was much better than the Chester Cheetah SNES game, which is real bad and should not be played by anyone.
I don't remember the Chester Cheetah, but I also remember there was an Avoid the Noid game as well.
That game is great also. It's an adaptation of a Japanese non-Domino's Pizza branded video game that existed, outside of the Pizzaverse. And they just threw the Noid in there, and the object was not to avoid him, but to actually play as him. It kind of, shook things up a little bit.
Kind of missed the point, but I get that. The last one that I wanted to point out, this is just strictly for me and Seth here, going even further back in time to the NES. A game that was actually canceled was the California Raisins game, and I bring this up because the game was finished, and you could actually beat the game, and when you did, you got a screen with all the California Raisins that says, "Congratulations."
No. Are you
I know you like that one. No, I'm deadly serious. And I just wanted to say congratulations.
What?
I just want to say congratulations to each of you, because we've made it through another segment. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to have even more news, games, and more just for you guys out there. Stick around.
News, Games, and More is presented by New World.
News, Games, and More is IGN's live news show every day of the week that covers all the day's news about games, movies, comics, and of course more. This is our daily live show that takes a rotating cast of IGN talent, going over all the latest news of the day while taking live questions and comments from chat. We're live every Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, and you can find us on mixer.com/IGN, youtube.com/IGN, and twitch.tv/IGN. See you there.
The next generation of video gaming is on the horizon, and IGN is here to bring you the latest PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X news and analysis in our new weekly show, Next Gen Console Watch 2020. We'll bring on the experts to discuss and analyze all the latest developments around these new consoles. From frame rates, services, features, peripherals, and even all the new tech jargon, Next Gen Console Watch 2020 will keep you up to speed on everything leading up to the next generation of gaming. Join us every Friday for a new episode.
Not only is IGN the world's biggest media brand for games and entertainment, but we also have a team of some of the world's biggest fans of your favorite franchises. From breaking news and exclusives, never-before-seen looks at movies and games, to reviews, let's plays, and live streams, IGN brings you all the coverage you need, no matter where you are. Whether you're on IGN.com, the IGN app, YouTube, Facebook, or Snapchat, we've always got you covered. IGN, the #1 source for all games and entertainment fans worldwide.
If you're not following IGN on social media, what are you waiting for? We're constantly updating our feeds to bring you the latest news, gameplay, custom original content, the best user-generated videos and art, memes, and a whole lot more. Be part of the conversation throughout the year. Follow IGN on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and Snapchat.
And we're back on News, Games, and More. Special shout out to my roommate, Ben, who just texted me, nice show. Thanks for watching, Ben. You're a great roommate. Next story I want to talk about is Horizon Forbidden West. We saw this trailer last week at the PlayStation 5 event. Obviously, this is a sequel to a huge game from 2017, Horizon Zero Dawn. Today, we actually got a small follow-up that has just a few more tidbits that I wanted to dig into. The first of which is that Guerrilla Games, the studio behind Horizon, is actually aiming for a 2021 release date. So I guess my question to the panel is anybody surprised that this isn't a launch game? Seth, I wanted to start with you. What do you think of this 2021 release window for Horizon?
Release game. This is going to be a big old game, and they're going to put all the graphics in it. So it's going to take a long time. 2021 is, I think, is fine. And it's going to be the fourth quarter when we get the PS5 anyway. So this could come out in January. We only have to wait a couple months,
Sid, what do you think? Do you think that Horizon Zero Dawn 2 or Horizon Forbidden West, as it's now known, was going to be a PS5 launch game?
Yeah, honestly, I definitely did. I mean, to be honest, I thought that was like a really quick turnaround, but I kind of it made a lot of sense, I think, especially once we found out more about what exactly Spider-Man Miles Morales is and the fact that it's not a full sequel. I assumed that Horizon Forbidden West would maybe be part of that drive of launch games, but now I'm like, we don't actually know that many launch titles. I mean, we also don't for Xbox either, but there were a lot of big games announced during the PS5 reveal, and now I'm kind of, I wouldn't say concerned necessarily, but I'm definitely curious what their launch slate is.
Sorry, I realized I muted myself because there's an ambulance going by. Casey, what about you? What do you think of this date? That's not a joke. I was just trying to be courteous. What do you think of this date? Were you on the same page as me? Because I definitely thought that Horizon Forbidden West or the sequel to Zero Dawn would be a day one PS5 game. I thought this would be a Breath of the Wild kind of day and date release.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you there, Zach. I absolutely thought this would be a launch game because, I mean, Horizon Zero Dawn is a really big name now, and I figured if from all the games that they showed, this could potentially be a day one console seller. I know I specifically said when I was on the show with you right after that presentation, I said if Horizon Forbidden West is a launch day PS5 title, I will be way more compelled to get that console on day one. But now it's not, so I might see what's coming out on launch day and maybe wait a little, see if there might be a special edition or
okay, interesting,
et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. So you think you might wait? Horizon is the game for you on PS5. You think you might wait until that game drops to go all in on a PS5?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are going to be other games that I'm going to want on day one, but Horizon Forbidden West was definitely my number one. I wanted a sequel to Horizon. I loved the first game, but if there isn't anything else that is on top tier with Horizon, I don't know, I might wait. Yeah,
I mean, I kind of get the feeling that we saw a lot of PS5 launch games in that PS5 event last week, but only time will tell. We did get some more details that I did want to go over here before we move on to our next story, and that's sorry, I lost my place, which is okay, here we go. Sorry. Forbidden West director Mathis de Jong says that there will be virtually no loading screens. So if you open a map for fast travel, you'll be able to do that almost instantaneously, which is pretty it's further proving that the PS5 is really leaning into this solid state initiative.
That's the power of PlayStation.
Right. That is the power of PlayStation. The idea that you'll be able to, just jump basically right into a game and not have to deal with any load screens. But, the biggest news, I think, coming out of this was definitely the release date news. And no firm release date yet, but even pushing this game, not pushing, but even placing this game in 2021, means that, like Casey was saying, some people might wait because Horizon is right now kind of the biggest thing that PlayStation 5 has going for it. This kind of got me to thinking about some of the other games that we saw from the PS5 event. So I wanted to propose to my panel here that we play a little bit of a game. I want to take a look at some of the other games that we saw at the PS5 event and just try to figure out when we think these might drop. So I want to start with a spooky little game that I like to call Resident Evil 8. And I like to call it that because that's the name of the game. It's what it's called. So the trailer
Isn't it actually
said that
called Village?
It is, yes, but Resident Evil
That's
8
actually
Village, just like the last game was, Resident Evil 7, Biohazard. I think that they're very clever in the way that they weave the numbers and logos into the way that
they're very clever. I'm always very impressed.
This terrifying trailer says that the game will launch in 2021. So I wanted to put this question out to the panel. When do we think we'll see this game in 2021? Seth, why don't we start with you? What's your over/under on a 2021 release for Village?
Oh, this is a Q1 release. This is going to be probably it's either going to be a February drop or it's going to be a May drop.
Okay,
that's
Casey.
My bold prediction.
February or May? That's a pretty wide swath.
No, February or May, not like February to May. Oh. February or May.
Okay. Interesting. Casey?
I'm going to say February as well, but before we get the next Horizon.
Okay.
And on that note, I'm predicting...
Okay, go ahead.
But I also wanted to say on that note, I'm predicting that Horizon is going to come out the same month as the sequel to Breath of the Wild, just to make us mad at each other again.
So rude. That's so rude that you would even put that out there. Sydney, what do you think? Where is Resident Evil 8 Village going to drop?
Okay, unofficially, I would say February. I think is a very good guess because February seems to be like this hot new month in game release. But I'll go with April.
Okay. I think you all are probably right on the money here. Capcom, especially in recent years, has managed to kind of corner this Q1 release, right? They started with Resident Evil 7, and then they've done Resident Evil 2 and 3 in that same window. So I think that's a pretty safe bet to say that this game will drop Q1. So kudos to all of you. I don't know if that's correct, but I'd like to think that it is. Great work. Next game on the list, Demon's Souls. Demon's Souls coming to us from Blue Point. It's a remake of the seminal FromSoft game. Casey, where do you think Demon's Souls lands in the PlayStation 5 launch window?
I think Demon's Souls is more likely to be a launch title. I know we have no idea when it's coming out, but because it is a remake of an existing game, even though it looks so much better than the original, I think maybe they could get it done a little bit faster than something totally brand new. So that's just what I'm guessing.
Sid, what do you think about Demon's Souls?
So I actually also think it will be a launch title. I think that it'd be a smart marketing play only because it's a title that people are already familiar with and they already know that they love the game. And so it'd be a good sell to encourage people to buy a PS5 off the bat. Plus, I don't think Blue Point has put out, was their last game Shadow of the Colossus? That was a while ago,
That's right.
So it would make sense that they've been working on this for quite some time, and it'd be ready to pop out of the oven.
Weird. All right, Seth, what about you?
We're going for a 3 because I think this is a launch game as well. Since there's no Bloodborne 2, which is what everybody wanted, this is the next best thing, and this will put some butts in seats if this were a movie, but it's not. It's a console launch, but I think this is a lock for a launch title.
Well, wouldn't you know it, I also think that this is a launch title. I think that Sid kind of hit the nail on the head here. I think a prestige launch game coming from a developer like Blue Point would really do a lot to put butts in seats on day one for PlayStation 5. So excellent choices all around there. We only have time for one more. I actually outlined a bunch of games here, but we're running a little short. So I want to go next to the PlayStation 5 console itself. We know it's coming holiday 2020, but let's do rapid fire real quick. Let's put an exact date on this bad boy. What do we think? When is the PlayStation 5 launching this year? Casey, we'll start with you.
November 20th.
November
week before
20th.
Black Friday.
Any particular? Okay, the week before Black Friday. That's a strong opinion there. I like that.
Look, to be honest, I was going to guess mid-November regardless, but I think Amazon France may have accidentally leaked the date to be November 20th.
Wow. So you're just using news and facts to back this up?
I was also considering
kind of unfair.
The previous 2 PlayStations came out around mid-November, so it makes sense.
All right, fine. Sid, now that Casey has totally ruined the surprise, when do you think this PlayStation 5 is dropping? Let's go fast.
I was also going to guess mid-November, but my reasoning is mostly because it wouldn't make sense to do it so close to Christmas into December, and then like they wouldn't launch it on Black Friday. So, and any earlier than mid-November would be too early. So it feels like it's kind of like by elimination.
Okay, Seth.
It's just going to come out first week in November. I'm almost certain they wouldn't cut it that close to Black Friday. Black Friday is going to be ridiculous this year with 2 new consoles and everybody clearing out the stock of last year's consoles. As somebody whose job is basically 80% Black Friday, my prediction is this won't come close to Black Friday. They're going to give a nice little buffer. So I think first week in November.
As our resident deals man, I'll trust you on that. I'm going to put my bet on October 30th, right before Halloween, just because I feel
too spooky.
I would like to have that spooky system launch on that spooky day. We're going to take
it does have the Dracula collar, so
that's true. That's right. It must be a hint. We got to take a quick break. We're going to come back right after this, and we're going to talk about what else but Star Wars. Stick around.
News, games, and more is presented by New World.
News, Games, and More is IGN's live news show every day of the week that covers all the day's news about games, movies, comics, and of course more. This is our daily live show that takes a rotating cast of IGN talent, going over all the latest news of the day while taking live questions and comments from chat. We're live every Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, and you can find us on mixer.com/IGN, youtube.com/IGN, and twitch.tv/IGN. See you there.
If you're not following IGN on social media, what are you waiting for? We're constantly updating our feeds to bring you the latest news, gameplay, custom original content, the best user-generated videos and art, memes, and a whole lot more. Be part of the conversation throughout the year. Follow IGN on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and Snapchat.
Everybody loves watching a speedrun of their favorite game. But what if you got the opportunity to peek into the minds of the developers while they watch their games getting completely wrecked? That's exactly what happens in every episode of Game Devs React to speedruns.
Yeah, you can do that. Oh my god!
We invite you to ride along with the developers as they react to, question, and enjoy some of the most skilled players exploiting and speeding through a game it took years of their life to create. Join us every Saturday for a new episode.
The next generation of video gaming is on the horizon, and IGN is here to bring you the latest PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X news and analysis in our new weekly show, Next Gen Console Watch 2020. We'll bring on the experts to discuss and analyze all the latest developments around these new consoles. From frame rates, services, features, peripherals, and even all the new tech jargon, Next Gen Console Watch 2020 will keep you up to speed on everything leading up to the next generation of gaming. Join us every Friday for a new episode.
Welcome back. I hope by this late in the show you've donated or sent us a yapper or something. But even if you haven't, that's okay, because we're going to take a little bit more time to talk about Star Wars. Obi-Wan actor Ewan MacGregor actually said today that he's talking about the production for this next season on I'm sorry, not the next season, but this first season on the Obi-Wan show. Talking to Ace Nation, he said, "I don't know if you've seen the behind the scenes of the Mandalorian series, but they employ an incredible screen that's pretty amazing. It makes you feel like you're in a place. It's going to feel realer for us as actors," which he should have said more real, but that's okay. And I think we'll be able to have some of that technology on our show. So obviously, IGN, big Mandalorian fans, big Star Wars fans in general. We've done a lot of coverage on this show. I wanted to ask Sid a question about the Obi-Wan show, because I know that you're a big Star Wars fan. Sid, what are the odds that they're going to call this show Shobi-Wan?
I would say the odds are honestly probably, I don't know, how do odds work? Very high. The odds are high. I was going to say 100 to 1, but I wasn't sure if that means, does that mean whatever? I'm not
it's
stupid, I
impossible to
promise.
know.
I'm really good at math sometimes. Anyways,
No.
yes, it will absolutely be called Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Thank you.
And there's just no doubts in my head that that's going to happen. And also, I cannot wait to see Ewan MacGregor be Obi-Wan Kenobi again, because I think that is amazing casting. I think he's incredible. And I don't know, I'm excited. I hope that it takes place when Obi-Wan is in exile. That's kind of my guess. And I think it'd be really fun to explore that.
We do know that it's happening after Revenge of the Sith, which means that it takes place after Clone Wars, the series, but before A New Hope, when he's in like hiding out. So like, yeah, you're right on the money there with your prediction. I think that there's a lot of Obi-Wan stories to really cover off on in this time. And, The Mandalorian did a great job of creating some new original Star Wars stories, but I think it'll be interesting to go back to a character that we know so well, like Obi-Wan, to really dive in there and see what happened to him in this era that we don't really know a ton about. So Casey, I know that you haven't had an opportunity to watch The Mandalorian, and that's okay, because I wanted to ask you, do you think this show will be called Obi-Wan Kenobi?
I think I don't agree with either of you. I think it will probably 100% be called, gosh, I can't think of another pun quick enough to come up with one, but not Obi-Wan Kenobi, but some other pun that you're not thinking of right now, but is just as clever.
You can't beat it. You can't beat it.
Kenobi.
Okay. Maybe. I'm still partial to that original one, but it's not as strong. But you know what? I give you an A for effort. I think that's very good. So there's a couple more things that I wanted to point out here. So when he talks about this screen, right? He's talking about these giant LED screens called stagecraft. So these are high resolution screens that project imagery onto LED and wrap themselves around the sets to create interactive and reactive surroundings for the actors, right? So you can see some of this in the B-roll that we've been showing, but it's essentially just building a giant CG set, but not projecting it onto a green screen. So it's somewhere in between a actual physical set and green screen technology where there's nothing there. So I do think that it's interesting that he points out that it'll help make those places feel more tangible and more real to the actors by placing them in those environments. And I think that that's really cool. Seth, you actually watched a lot of The Mandalorian, the whole season, I assume.
I watched only 8 all episodes. Of The Mandalorian.
Yeah, good for you. Very proud of you. Great work. So as a Mandalorian fan, I wanted to just see what you think of the name Obi-Wan Kenobi. Do you think that that's what the show is going to be called?
No, I think it's actually going to be called Old Ben Show Me.
Okay, interesting. Now, in your mind, what does the show me part mean?
Just show about his life, obviously.
Okay, good. Great, thank you.
His life between the wars.
Mm-hmm. Now, show me is an interesting. It's an interesting choice because show me really feels like narrowcasting because you're just asking him to show you specifically and not the world at large. I am the protagonist
of reality, so right. Yes,
I still stand firm that this show will be called Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's a home run of a name that I patented. You heard it here first. This is breaking news that show is definitely going to be called that. I'm sorry. I'm really laughing too hard at my own joke. Seth, you and I watched The Mandalorian. Really dug that show.
Loved it.
Obviously the caliber of the VFX in the show are second to none. Really great actors that they've managed to pull in for this show. I think it's a really interesting look at something that is like a Star Wars movie quality production for a streaming service. What do you think about the VFX from Mandalorian, and what do you think the Obi-Wan show? I won't say it again. I'm sorry. What do you think the Obi-Wan show could possibly improve on in this regard?
I actually didn't know until I read a news story on IGN.com those weren't sets. They were that cool stagecraft thing. So, I mean, I think basically the world's their oyster with Obi-Wan. My only worry with the Obi-Wan show is the thing that I think made The Mandalorian so great was that it's not based on a character that already exists. And so they could kind of do whatever they wanted to. Whereas I worry that in Obi-Wan, it's going to be kind of weighted down by what it has to adhere to.
Okay. Okay, I can see that. I also had some issues. I thought that the overall arc kind of sagged in the middle. I thought the episodes at the beginning of the season and the episodes at the end were really great, but I thought there were probably 3 episodes there in the middle that were just kind of not necessarily filler episodes, but just didn't really serve the overall narrative. So I wonder if our producer, hang on, this is breaking. Our producer just chimed in and he said they were bad. So they were in fact bad.
It's like comedy. You got to start strong and you got to end strong. You can't be like pancakes, all exciting at first, but by the end you're sick of them.
Sid,
who gets sick of pancakes?
It's a Mitch Hedberg. It's a Mitch Hedberg bit.
Disregard that. No one gets sick of pancakes. Sid and Casey, I wanted to ask you guys: are there any particular Star Wars characters that you hope to see making an appearance in Obi-Wan Kenobi? Perhaps beloved fan favorites.
I mean,
Jar Jar Binks. I'm kidding. Being totally facetious.
No, nobody wants Jar Jar Binks.
Up until this point has just been, I want to see Ewan MacGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi. And so obviously, as the title and casting implies, I am getting that. Right. So I don't know that I really have any other asks. I think that to completely not answer your question, I'm really curious to see what Ewan MacGregor does with a script that isn't a prequel script, because I mean, I thought he was one of the better parts of the prequels. And, those scripts just weren't very strong. And so I'm really excited to see where he takes the character with this stagecraft now that he doesn't have to act so hard and with a really strong script.
Yeah, that was an excellent dodge, but you made some really interesting points. So 2 thumbs way up on that response. Thank you for that. Casey, I know, we talked a little bit about you've not managed to watch The Mandalorian, and that's totally fine. What do you hope to see from an Obi-Wan story? Are you a big Obi-Wan fan, or are there characters outside of the Obi-Wan canon that you want to see make an appearance here in this show?
All right. I'm going to dodge this question again and go back to the technical side of the show.
Okay, great.
I'm interested in stagecraft because I'm interested if it's more or less experience than on location shooting for shows. And I think my gut reaction is like, oh, it's less expensive because you don't have to travel and have all those travel expenses. But I think in actuality, it might actually be cheaper to go on location if you can find a spot with all of the different environments you need within a few hours drive. So I just thought it was interesting to think of, and it's probably way more expensive than we think it actually is. And so
Oh yeah. We have one of those big LCD panels in the IGN studios, and I know from experience that those very, very expensive, even for the sort of very, very small and obviously not as much functionality as the ILM studio would have, prohibitively expensive. But I will say that having done several video features in front of that LCD screen, it really does make me feel like I'm, really in those video games. I'm just kidding. That's total BS. I don't really feel that way. I'm not an actor. I'm barely a presenter, as evidenced by this show, but I will forever take pride in the fact that I created the title Obi-Wan Kenobi. So with that, I do have to wrap up the show. We are out of time today. I just wanted to say thank you so much to Sydney. Thank you so much to Casey, and less, but still thanks to Seth. He knows what he did. That's all for today's episode, but IGN Summer of Gaming is back in full force tomorrow. So check out the stream early and often. We'll have some new Baldur's Gate 3 gameplay from Larian, an EA reveal showcase, and a bunch of exclusive first looks at brand new games, and of course, another news, games, and more to put it all in perspective. Thanks, guys, so much again. Thanks for watching out there on YouTube and Twitch and IGN.com. We'll catch you tomorrow. Take care.
On the flip.
News, Games, and More is presented by New World.
Everybody loves watching a speedrun of their favorite game. But what if you got the opportunity to peek into the minds of the developers while they watch their games getting completely wrecked? That's exactly what happens in every episode of Game Devs React to speedruns.
Yeah, you can do that. Oh my god!
We invite you to ride along with the developers as they react to, question, and enjoy some of the most skilled players exploiting and speeding through a game it took years of their life to create. Join us every Saturday for a new episode.
If you're not following IGN on social media, what are you waiting for? We're constantly updating our feeds to bring you the latest news, gameplay, custom original content, the best user-generated videos and art, memes, and a whole lot more. Be part of the conversation throughout the year. Follow IGN on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and Snapchat.
The next generation of video gaming is on the horizon, and IGN is here to bring you the latest PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X news and analysis in our new weekly show, Next Gen Console Watch 2020. We'll bring on the experts to discuss and analyze all the latest developments around these new consoles. From frame rates, services, features, peripherals, and even all the new tech jargon, Next Gen Console Watch 2020 will keep you up to speed on everything leading up to the next generation of gaming. Join us every Friday for a new episode.
News, Games, and More is IGN's live news show every day of the week that covers all the day's news about games, movies, comics, and of course more. This is our daily live show that takes a rotating cast of IGN talent going over all the latest news of the day while taking live questions and comments from chat. We're live every Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, and you can find us on mixer.com/IGN, youtube.com/IGN, and twitch.tv/IGN. See you there.